been rough with my only daughter as of late. My husband and I, both of us are 55, have one daughter, 30. We supported her decision. He was and is a very charming man who treats our daughter wonderfully, and you can tell she's extremely happy. Participants else. Recently, we were talking with one of our daughter's friends who was visiting our town and discussing our daughter's job and her wonderful boyfriend. Her friend in the conversation commented about how they were lucky to be in the same orientation together when they started work. As soon as she saw our confused faces, she gave us the full story as she realized we hadn't been given it. Iskrian, our daughter, had told us, while she and her boyfriend worked for the same employer, they only met after the divorce. So we pressed the friend for more information, and she begrudgingly told us that our daughter and her boyfriend had met during orientation at work while our daughter was going through her Maredo. A chance to them to be coming closer and her filing for divorce from her ex-husband about a year later. So later that day, I asked to talk with my daughter and brought up what her friend had told us. She turned white as snow and basically confirmed her friend's story, but reiterated that there was no physical cheating. I told her that physical cheating was not the only way she could hurt someone, and that it appeared that she had emotionally cheated on her ex-husband. He may not have been the greatest person, but it didn't excuse her actions. I told her that I was disappointed in her, and while I supported her leaving a bad marriage, I couldn't look at her and her boyfriend the same in this new light regarding cheating. I still love her and will treat her boyfriend with respect, but it's definitely something I have a hard time looking past. She got angry with me for not continuing to support her in her journey beyond divorce. Am I the idiot? You are the idiot. You don't get a trophy for being in the longest marriage ever. It's not your business. She isn't 20 years old. It's extraordinarily inappropriate and rude to think you have the right to decide whether or not your daughter's divorce was justified. I'm 42 and really could care less about my mother's opinion. So keep heading in that direction, won't you? Even if she were 20, it wouldn't be her parents' business. And 18 is about when the daughter married. But to that it now, she's 30, divorced 3 years ago, and married for 9 years. Up you're the idiot, and so is her friend, who told you details of your daughter's relationship. Thought her place, even if it was innocently relayed. Stay out of it. While emotional cheating is a thing, you have no evidence it occurred. Additionally, I question why your daughter wouldn't go to you for support when her husband was mistreating her. Based on how judgmental you come across in this story, it's no wonder your daughter doesn't open up and talk to you about most things. You have no idea how bad things were for her or what she was going through leading up to that. And if she had a coworker that she could confide in and that supported her, that's great. She deserves to have someone there who she could. Except marriages end long before the divorce is even requested most of the time. What do you gain by sitting in judgment over her? And what do you lose by expressing your baseless disappointment? She clearly lied to you about it because she knew this was how you'd react. Are you even disappointed with your daughter, Ak? Are you sure the disappointment isn't with yourself? I'm so surprised by everyone's comments. I completely disagree. This Ope is not the idiot. If the daughter was unhappy and he was a bad husband, she should have divorced him first, not get involved with someone else, and then get the courage to leave. But it's for anyone that's been betrayed. This is the fundamental break of trust that occurs. Then the cheaters justify their leaving because the spouse was bad, etc. They understand your disappointment, and while it doesn't sound judgy to me, it's fine to share your thoughts. The bottom line, she lied to you and hid the facts from you because she knew it was wrong. Update. Am I the idiot for telling my daughter I'm disappointed in her? Answering some common questions from all of you. Yes, my daughter got married at 18. Her ex-husband was also 18 at the time. Her father and I didn't think that getting married that young was a good idea, but we supported her as she was an adult. I didn't have a good understanding of the marital problems my daughter was experiencing, but she confirmed that there was no abuse from her ex-husband. She's always been a very private person, but that has never been an issue as she's always been honest with us. On to the update. I received many messages and comments from all of you, and I appreciate all of your advice and wisdom. The thing I struggled with the most was being lied to. I felt hurt there. First, that my daughter didn't want to tell me the truth, but I realized that this discussion wasn't about me. So I asked my husband for advice, and he recommended that my daughter and I sit down together and talk it out. My daughter agreed to talk with me, with the condition that my husband mediate. My daughter started the conversation, but she didn't tell us the true story about her boyfriend for two main reasons. She was worried about being judged by me, and I confirmed her theory. Hearing this made my heart so sad to see that my own daughter was concerned about my judgment. My daughter admitted that she was ashamed of how things went down with her divorce. She and her ex were going through some rough times. Her work schedule being crazy and her husband being depressed contributed. She met her then boyfriend during this time and confided in him about this. Before she knew it, she was texting him every day and even going to his house to hang out with him and her friends. She realized at the time she was wrong, so she filed for divorce and they started officially dating the day after her divorce was final. She again said she didn't physically cheat, but admitted she wasn't proud of how her marriage ended. The conversation then went to my side. I reiterated that I supported her and her boyfriend. He's a kind and nice man, and he treats her well, and that I loved her unconditionally. I apologized for how I acted and asked if she could forgive me. She accepted my apology and told me that while my words hurt, I'm still a good mother, and that the love I've given her and her boyfriend has been consistent, and that my actions spoke to that. We agreed to go to some family therapy together to continue working out these feelings. We cried, hugged, and I think things will be okay. People can't screw up, including me, as my story shows. But ultimately, good people will always be welcome in my home, and I never plan on changing that. I'm glad you guys cleared the air, and I commend you for being able to reflect on your own traits and behaviors. It sounds like you. And she learned some things and grew a little. I hope your daughter and her partner are very happy together, and that you all continue to have an excellent relationship. People, you're weird. Fictional cheating is still cheating. She had an emotional affair with another man while in a relationship. The mother was disappointed in it, and people just jumped to defend the kid. Really? Being disappointed because your daughter had an emotional affair is bad now. Not only that, but she admitted she started hanging out with the guy full-time before she was divorced. That's the thing that sticks out to me the most with this update, especially knowing her ex was dealing with depression and then divorce. I don't know. I don't even know the guy. And I kind of feel awful for him. Like, it's great that Ope and their daughter have reconciled. Actually, daughter have reconciled. But I'd be shocked to hear that Ope and their daughter were the only ones having a hard time with this whole scenario. Piece of everyone involved in this story. It's her poor ex who deserves the apology. I have a friend that frequently brings up how she believes that most women envy her looks and body, and she often goes on rants about it, talking about the hardships of other women being jealous as her for something out of her control and how unfair it is on her. When she talks about this issue to our friend group, we tend to stay very silent and just listen to her rants because we genuinely don't know what to say. I don't know if this is relevant, but she is pretty overweight. She's aware of it and started her weight loss journey recently. We're all very happy for her, although her goal weight would put her at an underweight BMI, and she has quite unrealistic goals about wanting to lose nearly 100 pounds as quickly as possible to shed. We're a pretty chill friend group and never really gossip, talk about each other behind our backs, or ever really engage in drama. But the constant rants this friend goes on about being an object of envy for other women have made things very awkward for us. Here's where I try to challenge our friend's thoughts and may have messed up. Yesterday, one of the other girls in our friend group was upset that her family frequently compares her to her older cousin, who she feels she can never live up to. She wanted genuine emotional support over something almost all of us go through in life, being compared to family members in a competitive way. Instead of offering emotional support, the friend that the story's about uses this as yet another opportunity to bring up how she feels other women are jealous of her, and even tries shifting this perspective that it may be hard on the cousin for being perceived as a role model, and that it's not easy. At this point, I finally snapped and said that I find it hard to believe she's never related to feelings of jealousy for others before, and that there's no way she's just constantly on the receiving end of obsession and jealousy, and that it's just not normal to constantly feel like every other woman is jealous of her body type. I was called cold for this response because I invalidated our friend's experiences. Am I the idiot? Oh my goodness, why are you still friends with this girl? Not the idiot, and your friend sounds like an insufferable narcissist. I worked with a woman like this once. She fretted and ranted about how she couldn't make friends because other women were so envious of her. Trust me, that isn't why no one wanted to be her friend. Your friend has low self-esteem and self-image, so she overcompensates by being narcissistic. How can she simultaneously believe that everyone wants to look like her and that she needs to lose 100 pounds? That's some serious mental gymnastics. If the facts are accurate, your friend needs therapy. That girl has serious problems. I grew up very close to my cousin, and we've stayed as close as we can, but live in different states. During my summers for several years, I went to a month-long camp for the first year. I was a camper. Next year, but then a counselor at the first year. I met Kenny. It was instant soul-crushing love, where he was literally all I thought about for a year. Next year, we actually dated within the confines of being sick, so we were very busy. And third year, we actually found a way to essentially live together and talked about coordinating colleges, getting engaged, kids' names, and all that kind of stuff. After that, we drifted apart, but would still text. And to be honest, I'd always hoped we'd find ourselves back to each other. I knew my cousin and Kenny went to the same school and had the same major, so I wasn't surprised when they started dating. That's as near as I can surmise. I knew about Kenny dating her, but he didn't know that she was my cousin. So I've known about them for about a year, but I didn't want to interrupt her being happy, and the opportunity to tell her never came up. The whole family met Kenny over Mother's Day. I knew he was coming, so I tried hard to stay low-key. However, my mom was so obnoxious that when Kenny arrived, she screamed, "You look just like that little boy Vivi had plastered all over the wall." "Is your name Kenny?" I said yes, and he clearly wanted to crawl into a hole, as did I. We said our hellos and nice to see you again, but it was very awkward. The little gathering was fine, and they avoided him for the most part. Then at about 9 the next morning, my cousin called me, and she was both hungover and had been drinking and furious at me that I didn't tell her. I guess he spilled the beans and told her how serious we were. She feels very betrayed by me that I allowed her to get so invested in a guy with whom I had a pregnancy scare. For some reason, this really stuck under his skin. I tried to explain, but she was having none of it. I tried calling Kenny to see what I could do, and he blocked me. I feel awful that she's hurt. I made a choice about what to reveal to her, but I guess I made the wrong one. Am I the idiot for not telling my cousin that our fiancé was my summer camp fling for 3 years? Thought the idiot. Usually, when a couple is engaged, they've shared info about previous relationships. Apparently, Kenny was too vague, shall we say? You had to know this moment was going to happen. How long were you going to let this go before finally saying something? You are the idiot for keeping this from your cousin and former fling, with whom you've talked about marriage and kids. 2 very important people in your life would have taken minutes at any time over the course of a year. I didn't want to interrupt her being happy. You knew what this info would do this whole time, and you just waited? Lie. After a summer camp flame? Oh boy, this was way more than that. Did you think Kenny would see you, dump your cousin, and profess his everlasting love so you could live happily ever after? Because that's the vibe I'm getting. You knew this would happen at some point. You knew this would cause trouble. Are you hoping it'll be bad enough that they separate? And you finally get another chance at Kenny. Jesus, it wasn't a fling. It was a 3-year relationship and a potential engagement. My 3 kids all have graduations this week. 1 high school, 1 elementary, and 1 preschool. My high school son, Liam, said he had 0 interest in attending his younger brother's graduation because it's lame. I said his brothers are going to his, and it's more work for them to go than for him to go to theirs. Yesterday, he said he's still not going. I said, okay, then you still not going. Our son and my other sons, half-brothers to Liam. I texted him information about the graduations and have yet to hear back. I'll cancel his little school trip if he doesn't show up. He can go to his mom and she'll lie about her lack of money. Wow, yet another succinct story where there's so much under the surface, it may as well be an iceberg. But you are the idiot. A teenager has no interest in no business at an elementary graduation. That's for parents and that student. You sound completely controlling and like someone who will have adult children go no contact. Yeah, this is so clearly about stepkid and have sibling drama, OL. This trip obviously means something to him, and you're sitting here holding it over his head that he can't go if he doesn't show up to the elementary school graduation. He's a teenager. He's not going to care about something like that. And forcing him into it, even after he voiced not wanting to go, is going to cause him to pull away from your guys' relationship. The fact the kid just walked away without a word. Poor guy's been around the block and knows reacting isn't worth it. What lesson are you teaching your son by canceling his trip? Find my way or the highway. Risked his family. Is mom a liar? He might get more satisfaction from sticking it to you and missing his trip. Have you asked yourself why? There's no reason to assume that an older sibling doesn't want to or shouldn't need to be there for younger ones. This thinking astounds me. So lame or not, we do a few things in healthy groups, family included. Spending 2 hours being there for your brothers isn't asking too much. It's honestly not. Younger siblings are annoying, but they're still siblings and they're still humans. They're half-brothers. They mean nothing to him. So that boy is going to go no contact and never come back. Liam's already a teenager when his dad decided to have 2 kids with someone who wasn't Liam's mom. This is a fact. I'm giving no speculation about their circumstances because that's not cool, but the math is pretty simple. I wondered how the little kids could go to all of Liam's graduations when they weren't born yet, but he tells Liam that the little ones went to his graduations. At best, they were babes in arms and were dreaming of getting fed the whole time,